you start recording, please, Robin?
We're recording now. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 8th, 2021 meeting of the Tysons Transportation Service District Advisory Board. My name is Christina Farrer, and I work for the Fairfax County Department of Transportation in the Coordination and Funding Division. I'm the staff point of contact for this advisory board. So I just wanted to recognize we have 3 new advisory board members present. Oh, actually, I don't think Linda joined yet. She was supposed to. She didn't jump on, right?
I don't see her yet, but I'll
Okay. So we have Linda Colbert is a new member. She maybe we'll jump on later. She accepted. Evan Pritchard and David Gelfond. So just wanted to welcome you to serving on the board, and please feel free to introduce yourselves further.
Sure, I'll go first. This is Dave Gelfond, representative of the Tysons Partnership. And I work for a local developer called the Meridian Group. Glad to be here.
And I'm Evan Pritchard, also representing the Tysons Partnership. I'm a land use attorney at Venable, who's we've got our offices over in close to the Tysons Mall. So happy to join the group. Jim Policaro told me these meetings are just a thrill a minute. So excited for my first one.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you both. So the first item on the agenda is to review the electronic meeting guidelines. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate both emergency procedures authorized by FOIA, this board needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. It's a bit cumbersome, so I ask for your patience. Because each member of this board is participating in the meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and appropriate volume for all other members. Accordingly, I will conduct a roll call and ask each board member participating in the meeting to respond by saying here or present, and then the location of which you are participating from. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each other and your other colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every other member can hear each other, and I will start the roll call now. Jim Policaro.
Present from Leesburg, Virginia.
Sally Horn.
Present from McLean, Virginia.
Chris Off.
Present, Frederick, Maryland.
Brad Swanson.
I'm here from Vienna, Virginia.
Raymond Baxter.
I am here, Vienna, Virginia, representing Hunter Mill District.
Erica Yalowitz.
Present from Tysons, Virginia, representing residents of Tysons.
Claudia Diamond.
Present from Vienna, Virginia, representing Hunter Mill District.
Corey Scott.
Present from Vienna, Virginia.
Evan Pritchard.
I'm here. I'm in Arlington.
David Gelfond.
Present, McLean, Virginia.
Is that everybody? When I'm sharing my screen, it's hard. I can't see all the people.
Corey Scott.
Oh, I called you. I'm sorry. Corey Scott.
You did call me. Corey Scott,
Okay.
Vienna, Virginia. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, Corey.
No worries.
And Robin, this is Shamali House, Supervisor Alcorn's office in the Hunter Mill District.
Thank you.
So that is everybody, that all the advisory board members. Okay. Good. So at this point, I asked Chairman Policaro to request a motion to vote to establish that every member can hear every other member.
I request a motion to establish that the members can hear one another. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? So moved.
Great. So next, having established that each member's voice may be heard by every other member, we must establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures. The fact that we are meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we have arranged for public access to this meeting. The state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for the board to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting. And that such FOIA's usual procedures, which require the physical assembly of this board and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely or practically. This board may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated audio conference line, and the public may access this meeting by calling 1-844-621-3956. So I asked Chairman Palacaro to request a motion to vote to hold the meeting electronically because the COVID-19 pandemic makes it physically unsafe to meet in person.
I move that we hold this meeting virtually because it is physically unsafe due to the current pandemic. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved.
Christina, excuse me, we have a call in, someone on the phone. I just wanted to make sure we knew who that was, so.
Okay.
Caller, I'm sorry.
Stu Mendelson is phoning in. My computer wouldn't let me connect.
Okay, thank you. Stu Mendelson is on the phone. Thank you. And sorry about that.
And Mr. Chairman, I believe that Linda Colbert has also joined the meeting.
Okay.
And this is Doug Doolittle. I've also joined.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, it was a tough fight, but I made it.
Welcome. So does that, Robin, does that meet the sound check requirement?
Yes, we're all good. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So next I will review some guidelines to ensure that the meeting runs as smooth as possible. Please note that this meeting will be recorded. A recording of the meeting will be uploaded to the Tysons Transportation Service District Advisory Board website within 10 days of the meeting. To avoid sound quality and feedback issues, participants should keep their microphones muted unless speaking. Please use the hand raise feature to ask questions or speak. Due to the sound quality and feedback issues, WebEx meetings run best if speakers wait until they are called on before speaking. Attendees may use the Q&A feature to ask questions during or after the meeting. Please do not use the chat feature to comment or ask questions. If you are joining us by phone, please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. To ask a question, push *3 to raise your hand and wait for a moderator to call on you. Once you are finished, push *3 to lower your hand. So the next item on the agenda is an action item to approve the meeting minutes for the November 12, 2020 meeting. Mr. Chairman.
I have a comment. This is Brad Swanson. I have a comment on the minutes. May I make that now?
Sure.
Okay, my comment is that the minutes specify that there were several questions asked by the advisory board for which staff agreed to follow up and also agreed to check to verify employment numbers. These are significant enough issues to be included in the minutes. They should be dealt with either in the minutes or in the follow-up meeting. And I didn't see them on the agenda for this meeting. So will they be dealt with in this meeting?
We don't have the follow-up items on the agenda. If there's a specific one that you would like to bring up, I'm sure we can discuss that.
Well, a procedural matter is that just in terms of good governance, if something is important enough to make its way into the minutes, questions asked by the advisory board for which the staff agreed to provide clarification, those should be noted in the minutes, and the clarification should then be provided for in the following meeting. It's probably too late for this one, but I really request that going forward, we provide a more rigorous governance in terms of how these minutes are kept and followed up.
Okay.
That's, we will honor that request. That's a good point, and we will do that in the future for sure.
Thank you.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to request a motion to approve the fall minute?
I do. I will. I would like to request a motion to approve the fall meeting minutes with the understanding that clarifications that are asked in the meetings be placed into the minutes in the future. I hear a motion.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor to approve the minutes, the fall 2020 minutes?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an action item to approve the BAC bylaws. This advisory board will use to conduct their meetings. Mr. Chairman, will you please request a motion to approve the bylaws?
I would like to request a motion to approve the bylaws. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
So just making a note that FCDOT will be taking the bylaws to the Board of Supervisors for approval sometime in May or June.
Okay.
So are there any questions before we move on from administrative items? No questions? Okay. And everyone can still see the presentation screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So welcome to the update on the Tysons Development and Transportation Projects. This presentation will provide an update on the FY21 Service District Tax Rate, Tysons Development and Transportation Project updates, and then we'll discuss the FY22 Service District Rate Recommendation. The Service District rate was held flat at 5 cents for FY21. Through the end of March, we have collected $8.9 million in Service District revenues. $13.5 million in Service District revenues have been expended so far on the Tysons-wide projects. And here's a table that shows the projects that have Service District fund allocations and how that $13.5 million has been spent. Note that the Service District revenues allocated to Tysons Old Meadow and Route 7 widening Dulles Toll Road to Reston Avenue have been fully expended. And we'll cover these projects in more detail later in the presentation. The development updates will be given by Susie Batista from Department of Planning and Development, so I'll pass the presentation over to her.
Thanks, Christina.
And do you want to just let me know? I'll click through the slides for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So just a quick snapshot from August 2020 through February of this year, we've had 196,000 square feet of development delivered in Tysons. Total of 1.8 million square feet of development has been approved by site plan, but is unbuilt. And there's about 3.8 million square feet currently under construction in Tysons. And just as a baseline, the existing development level as of January 1st, 2011 was 47.17 million square feet. Go ahead. So a snapshot about plan implementation progress from plan adoption through February of this year. We've had a total of 73.4 million square feet and 208 new buildings entitled, and that's within 42 rezoning applications, which will be highlighted on the next slide. 23.8 acres of new urban parkland. That's okay.
Sorry.
New parkland, 23.8 acres have been delivered since 2010. 7.1 million square feet of development has been delivered, and that's in 22 new buildings in Tysons. And we've received commitments for 10 new major public facilities during this time since plan adoption. Go ahead. So this map, the areas in green are the areas that are under a redevelopment plan. So you can see lots of concentrated redevelopment close to the metro stations. This totals 42 major rezoning applications. And the numbers don't quite align because some applications have multiple zoning case numbers. So that's why you might see a bit of a difference between the total on the chart and the number of applications. Go ahead. So in terms of delivered infrastructure and public facilities, since August of last year, the Scotts Run Trail, which runs from McGarrett Road to the McLean Metro Station, was completed. And in terms of completed construction within this time frame, the Highland District Building B was delivered. It's called the Bexley, and that's that 196,000 square feet that you saw on the earlier slide. That's within 140 condo units, and they also provided 0.85 acres of public park space. Go ahead. So this chart shows existing development levels comparing 2011 to 2020. So as you can see, we're really working towards that kind of change in the land use pattern within Tysons. And I just want to point out the kind of the 384%. That really is a reflective of decrease in office due to the basis school conversion of office to school use. And the car dealership category was changed to auto sales and service as part of the 2019 and 2020 Tysons annual report. Go ahead. So in terms of current major construction activity, this is the 3.8 million square feet that's currently under construction. At Arbor Row, Building E, that's a residential building with ground floor retail. And the map number is referenced that map on slide 4, so if you want to refer back. Capital One, Block A and Block C are both under construction, office, retail, and that also includes the Cap One Center and a hotel. At Scotts Run South, there's Block C and Block K, which are under construction. That includes the Archer Hotel site, a residential building, and retail. Hanover Tysons, that's a residential building with 400 units and ground floor retail. At Tysons Central, Building A is under construction, and that's an office building with ground floor retail. And finally, the Mile, Building A, which is a residential building with 411 units with some ground floor retail. It's also under construction right now. Next slide. So in terms of what's coming in the pipeline, these are projects that have approved site plans but have not yet commenced construction as of February. In terms of residential square footage, it's about 1.3 million square feet and about 1,285 units in 3 different locations. Building C at Tysons West, Park Crest, Building 3, which has an approved site plan, and Highland District Building A. And office, about 500,000 square feet, Arbor Row Building F, and Miter 5. And that all comes with associated retail and service uses at about just under 50,000 square feet. So in terms of what's currently under review, the pending development applications, we have 4 rezonings that are currently under review and zoning. It's a total of about 25 acres and up to 1.6 million square feet of non-residential and 3.2 million square feet of residential development. If these cases are approved, it's estimated to add a maximum of 3,182 new residential units, and that would accompany or accommodate a maximum of 4,653 new employees. And of course, these are development plans that are currently pending, and the build out would occur over decades. Okay. Go ahead. Thanks, Christina. So just to provide a bit of a summary in terms of where we are and achieving the planned goal of 4 jobs per household. In 2010, we started out at a ratio of about 11.7 to 1. And currently, as of February, we're at 5.7 to 1. So we're inching very close to that jobs to household balance. And this just kind of shows you the totals and kind of where we are in the pipeline. And this graph chart is from the annual report, and it kind of shows the square foot goal and the comp plan for 2021 versus where we are in 2021. So you can see there is a bit of a gap. Of course, obviously, dependent on market conditions with the pandemic and other things, this will continue. We'll continue to track all of this in the annual report for this year and see where we're at. But again, in 2019, we were at 53.1. And as of last August, we had completed, there was a projection of 56.9 million to be completed by this year. So lagging, but generally on track with what the plan envisioned. Thanks.
Christine, could I ask a question here?
Yes.
Would it be possible to break up when you talk about residential units? Earlier on, you talked about condos versus rentals. It's hard to tell when we talk about residential units whether they're condos or rentals. Is there any way to kind of put some clarification into the slides as far as which ones are condos and which ones are rentals?
I think we could definitely work with our DMB, our demographics folks, to figure out what those numbers would look like. In terms of the land use component that DPD tracks, we're not necessarily tracking, which residential units are condo versus owner occupied versus rental. But I think that's something that we could look into to see if that's possible, if that's something that the county is, not DPD, but if our DMB folks are tracking that or not. So I'll make a note of that and look into it.
Thank you.
So now I'll provide updates on the major roadway projects. This is a map of 17 roadway projects approved in the comp plan amendment. Out of the 17 projects, 1 is completed, 1 is under construction, 1 is utility relocation, and 8 others are in study, PE, or design. And this is a picture of Route 7 pedestrian bridge over Dulles Toll Road that was completed in May 2018. Here's a picture of the Jones Branch connector that was completed in February 2020. Route 7 widening Reston Avenue to Dulles Toll Road. This project widens Route 7 from 4 to 6 lanes from Jarrett Valley Drive to Reston Avenue. The total project estimate is $314 million. Construction began in spring 2019 and is estimated to be completed by summer 2024. Route 7 widening Route 123 to I-495. This project widens Route 7 from 6 to 8 lanes from Route 123 to I-495. Bus rapid transit is proposed throughout the corridor. A study is being conducted with final BRT recommendations due in fall 2021. Design will continue following the BRT recommendations.
Can I ask a question on that one? This is Brad Swanson. My question is, you say bus rapid transit is proposed. Is there also a bike facility on this widening?
Christina, I can answer that.
Thank you, Tom.
So as part of this, yes, the whole cross section for Route 7 would be revised. And so, yes, there would be bike and pedestrian facilities that would be included in the rebuild.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I-495 overpass at Tysons Corner Center. This is a shared use trail from Route 123 to Old Meadow Road. The total project estimate is $13.4 million, of which $4.6 million is funded by service district revenues. Design and right-of-way are complete, and construction is scheduled to start in summer 2020. This is a picture of what the overpass is expected to look like once it's completed. A few other projects underway. Route 7 widening I-495 to I-66. Design is underway. $10.5 million in service district revenues have been allocated, and design will continue once the BRT recommendations are completed in the fall. Ramp from Greensboro Drive to Dulles Toll Road. A study began in January 2021, and $1 million in service district revenues have been allocated to this project so far.
Are these, Christina, are these are still roads that were on the table 7 in the original comp plan amendment, correct? Tom?
Yes, that's correct.
I have this is Doug. I have a question on the ramp from Greensboro Drive to Dulles Toll Road. When will we get some feedback on the study on that?
So the study began in January of this year. So probably by late this year, probably fall, maybe by your fall meeting, we would potentially have some initial concepts for you to look at later this fall.
Great, thank you very much. I'll look forward to that.
Okay.
So now we'll cover the Tysons Table 7B projects. Route 123 modified intersection treatment, I-495 to Dulles Connector Road, and I-495 to International Drive. Multiple options are being considered for both of these projects. The preferred analysis alternative is estimated to be completed in spring 2021. Final recommendations are due in summer 2021. And here is a picture of what the Route 123 study covers. Cleveland Ramp. This project modifies the eastbound off-ramp from the toll road. 2 options are being considered. This project is also included in the Route 123 modified intersection treatment study that was mentioned in the previous slide. Route 7, Route 123 interchange. 2 concepts are being considered, and we are waiting on the BRT recommendations before scheduling stakeholder meetings. And then Gallows Road at Gallows Branch, a study will be initiated for this project in the future. Here's a map of the ongoing grid of streets development, and we'll cover a few of the projects that are advancing in the next slides.
Christina, before we go on to that, can I ask Tom a question?
Sure.
Well, Tom, two actually. One is related to probably the Route 7 widening more than any. But are any of your projects advancing faster due to the fact that they're over the course of the past year, there's been less traffic on the road, and maybe an opportunity to work during the day, as opposed to maybe having to work at night in the evening?
So yes, absolutely. And Route 7 is one of those projects that has advanced because of the ability to, because typically in a pre-pandemic situation, the contractor could work essentially from 9 to 3, then they would have to stop, and then they might be able to pick up around 7 and work through the evening or overnight. So with the pandemic, they have been able to extend the hours on the Route 7 project. And particularly on I-66, VDOT has definitely been able to take advantage of the pandemic and kind of narrowed it from 4 to 3 lanes, even in the rush hour, to be able to take advantage of the lower traffic volumes. But I would say that traffic at this point, traffic volumes are increasing. And so that ability to take advantage of the peak period is probably, that window is probably closing as more and more people get vaccinated and people start returning to offices. But definitely during this time frame, VDOT has taken some advantage of that.
Okay. And also for the audience, for the board in general, maybe some new members or existing members, can you explain what the 7B improvements are versus 7, table 7B?
Yes. So as part of the comprehensive plan that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors in June of 2010, there were 17 what we call Tysons-wide improvement projects. And those projects are supported in part by the service district. They're also supported by contributions from the landowners through redevelopment, through proffers, and contribution to a road fund. And they're supported by revenues that the county is able to raise through federal, state, regional, and local funding sources. Subsequent to that, there were 6 projects that were identified that are needed to advance transportation in the Tysons area, and those are called Table 7B. Those were included in an update of the comprehensive plan that the board adopted in 2014, but those are not supported by the service district. So no service district funds will be used. The county is funding those through outside grants and other revenues that we can raise, but they're not supported by the service district. But we do want to periodically update the service district advisory board just so you're aware that projects are advancing in addition to the 17.
Great. Thank you. That clarifies it. I appreciate that.
I have a question.
Hey, Tom, one follow-up. I guess I've lost track of what the Boone Boulevard or the extension out to the toll road, and I don't see any of that on this diagram. Is that still a viable option, or is that what's going on with Boone Boulevard extension?
Christina, can you go back to the 17 Tysons wide improvement projects, please? That map.
Sure.
So Boone Boulevard is shown in this map as project number 2, and that is still one of the 17 Tysons wide improvements. Portions of that have been identified as part of rezoning cases. So the areas around the Walmart area, portions of that have been included in rezoning cases. I don't know that any of it has actually been built because it hasn't reached that point yet. Portions of it will be built with public money or service district money. But that project is not, it's still one of the projects that we will be advancing, but we're waiting for some progress on the redevelopment first. I do anticipate that some portions closer to Route 123 will also come in. That whole section between 123 and Gosnell will likely be through the redevelopment process. So that would not be likely publicly funded. But it is still one of the 17 projects, and there will be some public money and service district money that ultimately is assigned to that project.
Okay, thank you.
I think there was another question.
Yes. Can you please talk about the improvements around Route 7 that include widening of the parallel sidewalks between metro stations?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question, please? I had a little trouble hearing you.
Can you please talk about the improvements around Route 7 that include widening of the sidewalks between metro stations, please?
Sure. So there's two metro stations on Route 7. One is the McLean Metrorail station east of the Beltway, and then there's the Tysons Corner Center metro station, which is just west of the Beltway. So
That's Spring Hill.
Tom, I think that's 123. She referred to Route 7.
Route 7,
Yeah.
Spring Hill and Greensboro.
I'm sorry, Spring Hill and Greensboro. You're exactly right. So in that section, the sidewalks have been improved. That whole section was rebuilt. The whole section of Route 7 was rebuilt as part of the metro piece. And so at the moment, there is no additional project to make changes to the sidewalks. We did advance two projects to rebuild the underpass under Route 123 and put sidewalks there. And as part of the eastern part, east of 123, we will rebuild the sidewalks and add bike facilities when we come in to do that section. But from 123 to the toll road, essentially that segment is done at this point. Did that answer your question?
Thanks. I've walked recently there, and the sidewalks continue to be very narrow, whereas the speed of vehicles passing by is pretty high, so it's kind of scary to walk still.
Okay. If there's a specific location, you can send that to us and we can take a look at that specific location.
Hey, Tom, one last question, I think. There's been a lot of talk about the Silver Line Metro and
Yes.
funding for it and what's going to happen and it, and how is that, or have you taken that into any of the projects, or how might that affect these projects if they close it down for a while?
I think Christina has a couple of slides on that later in the
Okay.
presentation. So if you want to just hold on and we can jump into that a little bit later.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tom, this is Claudia. Can I ask you a question?
You can.
I'm interested on the major roadway project number 9. I see that now has a circle on it, which is that Toll Road ramp extension to Boone Boulevard. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's not a project that we have advanced at this point. What we're advancing is project actually number 5 and number 6, which is the connection of Greensboro Drive to the toll road. That's the study that Christina referred to. That is of the 3 ramps, 9, 5, and 17. Number 5 is the one that really has the highest usage. And so that's the one that we've initiated the study on this year. And at some point in the future, we will initiate the study on 9 and 17, but we have not initiated any study on those at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Oops. Oh, I guess I'll start here. So we're going to cover some of the Grid of Streets projects. Did everyone get to look at the map here with the Grid of Streets? Lincoln Street. This project will connect Route 123 to McGarity Road. $8.2 million has been approved by the Board of Supervisors for study and design. Design is 15% completed. and is estimated to be complete by June 2021. Construction is scheduled to start in spring 2024 and is estimated to be completed by 2026. Old Meadow Road realignment. This is part of the Dulles Rail Phase 1 funding. Design has been complete and construction is substantially completed, and the new alignment was opened to traffic in November 2020. So along with design and construction of roadway and grid of street projects, FCDOT has made some improvements to transit service in the Tysons area. Here's a map of the transit service operating in the Tysons area. As of fall 2020, 15 bus routes operate circulator, express, peak, and local bus service in Tysons. This slide shows a summary of the implemented service improvements. The latest improvement was new service started in 2020 from McLean to the George Bush Center for Intelligence. As far as ridership trends, due to the pandemic, transit service was partially cut in April 2020 and was fully restored in August 2020. Since ridership was restored, ridership has recovered about 50% of pre-COVID levels. Service improvements are planned for Route 467 in 2021, as well as the takeover of Metrobus routes 3T and 15K. A route optimization study of all Tysons routes will start in 2021. There are plans to renovate the Tysons West Park Transit Center and reevaluate alignments of Route 424 to serve the north side of McLean Metro Station. So in addition to making transit service improvements, FCDOT has been working on improving bike and pedestrian access in the Tysons area. Part of these improvements are projects identified in the Tysons Metrorail Station Access Management Study. This study occurred in 2011 with the goal to prioritize access improvements to the Metrorail stations in Tysons. 37 of the 41 approved projects have been completed. 3 are in construction or utility relocation, and 1 is in design. And here is a map that shows all the TMSAMS project locations. Route 7 walkway from Dulles Toll Road to Beulah Road. This project is part of the Route 7 widening from Reston Avenue to Dulles Toll Road and is estimated to be completed with the project by July 2024. Scotts Run Walkway. This project was completed in December 2020 and the ribbon cutting ceremony was held in February 2021. Some additional bike and pedestrian improvements progress include constructing new bike lanes, trails, and Capital BikeShare stations in the Tysons and adjacent areas. Jones Branch Connector was completed in February 2020 and provides a bike ped connection to the McLean Metrorail station. New bike lanes are added on Pine Valley Drive to connect Old Courthouse Road to Vesper Trail, and more bike lanes are planned to be added in the future as streets are repaved and developed. In addition to the bike lanes, Vesper Trail was completed in 2019. The Jones Branch Connector Trail, Scotts Run Trail, and a new trail segment along Dolly Madison Boulevard were all completed in 2020. Capital BikeShare, 14 out of 15 BikeShare stations have been installed, and 18 additional stations are underway in the Providence District. New stations were launched in May 2019 in the Merrifield and Falls Church areas, and BikeShare usage decreased by 59% in 2020 due to the pandemic. We do expect that usage will recover as more people are vaccinated and return to work. So now I'll discuss the Tysons Neighborhood and Traffic Study projects. The purpose of this study was to evaluate existing and future traffic impacts and potential mitigation measures for intersections in the Tysons area. Intersections were chosen based on Board of Supervisor input. The locations that are projected to fail by 2030 continue to be monitored annually. And feasibility studies, design, and construction activities are underway for a few of these locations. So here are a few of the neighborhood study projects that are advancing. Lewinsville Road and Spring Hill Road, the study is underway and expected to be completed in fall 2021. A detailed traffic comparison analysis of offset T intersection and conventional intersections are being considered, and the Lewinsville Coalition virtual meeting will present a comparison analysis for both options in spring 2021.
Christina, this is Brad.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Just a very quick question. On,
Sure.
on the previous slide, just a definitional thing. LOSF is considered failing. What do those letters stand for?
Level of service.
And is there a standard? Is it like number of minutes at the intersection, or what is an LOS?
I'm gonna have to
Yes.
answer that.
Level of service is a way to measure intersection delay. So anytime the overall intersection delay is 80 seconds or more, it would be considered level of service F. And below 80 seconds, there's A, B, C, D, and E, each of which have, for example, level of service A is anything 20 seconds or less. So 80 seconds or more is what pushes you into level of service F.
Fantastic. I don't know if I was the only one to know that, but I thought that was very helpful. Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, so I think we're on Lewinsville Road and Leesburg Pike. This project is part of the Route 7 widening from Ruston Avenue to Dulles Toll Road and is estimated to be completed in July 2024. And then Balls Hill Road and Old Dominion, the preferred T intersection improvement option A1 has been selected and design is underway and estimated to be completed by May 2021. The Dolly Madison Boulevard Corridor Study. This study includes the intersections shown below on the slide. A community meeting was held in June 2019, and we received a significant amount of feedback, and staff is working to address those concerns. Meetings with the district supervisor were held in February and December 2020, and the next supervisor briefing is proposed for spring 2021, followed by a community meeting in summer 2021. So moving on from Tysons projects, here is a brief update of the Silver Line Phase 2 construction. Phase 2 construction is 99% complete, and the final walkthroughs are underway. WMATA and the Airport Authority are working to resolve any outstanding concerns that WMATA has. So the goal is for substantial completion to be done by September 3rd, 2021 for both A and B packages. Revenue operations date has not been established yet, but it's likely to be within 4 to 6 months of substantial completion. Here are pictures of the Herndon Station and Reston Town Center Station. And here are pictures of Innovation Center, Dulles Airport, and then the rail yard at Dulles Airport. So now we'll get into the revenues collected, assessed values, and the FY22 service district tax rate.
Christina, before you
Yes.
do that, just wanted to see, are there any other questions or
Sure.
anything related to the projects that Christina's reviewed?
So Tom, did you mention there were going to be some follow-on slides about the potential closing of the Silver Line or delays, et cetera, and how that might affect construction projects?
So as part of Metro's FY 2022 budget proposal, the general manager originally proposed to close, I think, 18 stations because of funding shortage. Subsequent to that, and one of which was the Greenboro station, another which was the McLean station. Subsequent to that, the federal government, the Congress has approved additional federal funding for Metro as part of a pandemic relief bill. And so that proposal to close individual stations is no longer on the table. And in fact, the Metro Board, I believe maybe earlier today, actually considered a new budget proposal that would remove those initial recommendations. So there is no longer any discussion about potentially closing any Metrorail stations for financial reasons in fiscal 2022, which starts July 1st of this year and continues through June 30th of 2022, sorry. So no, that issue has been resolved. In terms of the Silver Line extension, phase 2, as Christina noted, the substantial completion is scheduled for September 3rd, and then somewhere 4 to 6 months after that, actual rail service will start. Metro's current budget proposal would allow it to start when it is ready to open, and there would not be any delay for financial reasons for opening phase 2. So fortunately, those concerns that were very prominent earlier this calendar year have been addressed with the additional federal pandemic relief funds.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Tom, this is Robin. I just wanted to mention that there is a survey on the Route 7 BRT study that's still open. So if you go to fairfaxcounty.gov/transportation and search for Route 7 BRT study, that will come up. So we just want to encourage as many people as possible to take that study, which will talk about the preferred routes of the BRT. So I just wanted to get that in there.
Thank you, Robin. And we can also send a link out. Christina, if you would send the link out to the group, that would be helpful.
For the BRT study?
To the survey.
Or, yeah, this survey.
Thank you.
Okay, so this slide shows the service district revenues collected to date. Between FY14 and 21, a total of $54 million in tax revenues has been collected. This is about 17% of the total revenues projected to be collected by the service district in the Tysons funding plan that was approved by the Board of Supervisors. $31.4 million has been previously allocated to projects, and that leaves an available balance of about $22.7 million. Those funds will be used to partially fund the construction of projects that are currently in design now. This chart shows the assessed values history since the service district started in 2014. The actual growth has been greater than the projected 3% every year, with the exception of 2021. In 2021, the assessed values decreased by 4.34% over 2020. And this is consistent with what we are seeing with other commercial areas around the county. And although residential values have increased, the commercial values have decreased. This slide shows a comparison of the assessed values between 2020 and 2021. Both the Tysons and the Dulles Rail Phase 1 Service District tax rate remain flat at 5 cents and 11 cents respectively for a combined tax rate of 16 cents per $100. And staff has recommended to, the tax rate was 11 cents for Dulles in 2020. And so the tax rate for 2022 is recommended to remain flat at 9 cents for Dulles and 5 cents for Tysons. So they decreased Dulles decreased their tax rate in 2021 to 9 cents. So a few upcoming dates to note: the budget public hearings will be held April 13th through the 15th. And we ask that the letter of recommendation to the Board of Supervisors be sent by April 15th for the Service District tax recommendation. And the Board of Supervisors is scheduled to adopt the FY22 budget on May 4th. So that's all I have for the presentation. I guess now we'll open the floor to discussion of the FY22 Service District tax rate.
So just to reiterate, Mr. Chairman, so staff is recommending that the rate be held the same at 5 cents, which is the rate that it's been for, I think, the last 6 years or so. We're not proposing a change to the rate.
Correct.
This is Doug Doolittle. I have a question about why the Dulles rate is going down and the Tysons rate is not. Someone can give me some explanation so I can pass that on to people.
Sure. So there's the tax rate that was established for Dulles Rail Phase 1 was established by petition of the property owners, and it was established to generate $400 million for the support of the Phase 1 of the Silver Line. So at this point, the entire $400 million has been paid. Phase 1 is open. And so Phase 1 tax district is really paying off debt service at this point. Because of the increased values that Christina showed. Christina, can you go back a couple of slides that show the bar graph, please?
You want this one or
the bar graph, please? There you go. So, so as you can see, the values in Tysons were growing fairly substantially. I think the average growth was in the neighborhood of 5 to 6%. The original projections for the Silver Line were based on a growth of about 3%. And so as a result, the tax district is paying off their debt faster than was originally projected. And so they are able to reduce the tax rate. Initially, it was 21 cents, and it's been brought down to 9 cents. That tax district has been in place since, I believe, 2003. So they've actually been in place for about 17 years. The service district is much newer and is not supporting any debt at this point. So far, the service district has enough revenues to pay their expenses, the project expenses, in cash. And at this point, we are not projecting to issue any debt. And so originally the service model was to go from 4 cents to 5 cents to 6 cents, and at some point to peak at 7 cents. That model has been redone to essentially go from 4 to 5 cents, which it did after the second year, and to stay flat at 5 cents until the revenue proposed. And Christina, I think you had that on another slide. The total revenue to be generated from the service district, which is $315.9 million, is collected, and so far 17% of that's been collected. There has been discussion in the past about whether or not raising the rate and generating more money up front would make sense, or to issue debt, and so that there would be, the debt would be paid off after, beyond the expense of the 315. We're not recommending either of those approaches at this point. We're just recommending the stable, keep the rate the same, and generate the revenues necessary over a 40-year period to support the projects that are included in the 315 million.
Thanks, Tom. I think I got what I needed, so I can explain to people why the Tysons, the Dulles rate is going down and the Tysons one's remaining flat. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Tom, it's Ray. In the past, you've actually shown a chart on what was originally proposed and where we are today. And that was kind of a real good indication that as of this time frame, we were either supposed to be at 6 or 7%. And there was a chart that showed that we kept it and what the difference was. That might be helpful. Some of us that have been here forever kind of remember that chart. It kind of helps a little bit explain that actually keeping it 5% has been pretty good.
We can certainly include that chart in the next presentation to demonstrate.
Yeah, this is Doug again, and I would second that. I found that chart very useful. And again, I have homeowners that are concerned about the rate, and anything we can have to show them how we're working to keep it flat is really helpful. Thank you.
We can do that.
There any more questions? Tom, should we take a vote then?
If there's no other questions, sure. We're ready if you're ready.
Yeah. Could I hear a motion to?
Actually, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any opportunity in the future to balance that reduction in the Dulles tax rate was reduced from 11 to 9 and Tysons remain flat? Is there any chance that those reductions would be balanced so that 1 cent is reduced on the Dulles toll road and 1 cent is reduced on the Tysons tax?
Tom, you should answer that, but I believe there are two different districts for two different purposes.
Yes. So the Silver Line Phase 1 tax district only supports that project, the Phase 1 of the Silver Line. The service district actually supports those 17 Tysons wide improvements that Christina talked about earlier. We looked at the map for those. So they're actually two different districts. They do overlap with each other in the Tysons area, but they don't cover the same projects. So the Silver Line, because it's finished, is starting to reduce that. And in time, the service district will also reduce, but we're a ways away from that.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to recommend holding the tax rate at 5 cents?
I'll make the motion. This is Doug, to hold the tax rate at 5 cents.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any further discussion? Okay, the motion carries.
Great. So the final item on the agenda is the action item to elect officers for the advisory board. I think they're like a 2-year term, so they expired in January. So, Mr. Chairman, will you please request a motion to call for nominations of elected officers?
Do you want to discuss who is currently the officers? I believe it's, and
So you, I believe, are the chairman, and then Mark Zetz is the vice chair. And then,
I haven't heard, Mr. Zetz couldn't be here today, but I haven't received any indication that he isn't interested in continuing as vice chair. Have you? Do you know?
no, he had accepted the meeting, so I thought he was going to be here this evening.
Okay.
And I think there's a secretary position. I'm not sure who that is on the
Christina, I
board.
think Mark is actually.
That's what I was going to say.
here this
Yes.
Mark on the call?
Did he join later?
I did say that he can talk, he can speak.
Re-elect the officers, the current officers.
I see him. He is.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the roll call.
He wasn't on during that time. He must have joined later.
Okay.
Unmute me. Hey.
There he is.
Okay. Okay.
There he is.
Okay. So yes. Hey, look, I'm here. I've been on the phone following the charts, and I'm interested to continue as vice chair, and I voted yes.
Okay. On the rate. So,
Yes, on the rate.
Christina, do we need to hear a motion to nominate the current officers for a new term?
I think we have to go through the motion according to the bylaws.
Okay.
This is Doug Doolittle. I'll make the motion to nominate the current officers for the next term.
And there's a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, hearing none.
Can we comment on the job they've done? No, just kidding.
If you wanted it, it was yours, but I guess we have a vote. We have a vote. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. Hey, I have one question for the planning person. Whenever it's a good time for me to ask it.
I'm sorry, for the who?
For the planning person, the person talking about development.
Oh, sorry. I can't hear you very well.
It's a question on chart 15.
Let's see. I don't. Oh, yeah, she's still here. Susie's still here.
She's still here.
So what? Did you want me to go back to a slide?
I'm looking at it. She probably knows it by heart.
Okay.
It shows that in 2010 there are 11.7 jobs to every one unit, residential unit, and in 2021 it's 5.7 to 1. Well, you may have covered this, but 5.7 assumes that there's been a 25% reduction in the number of jobs in Tyson since 2010.
I think that's an indication of an increase in household, isn't it, Susan?
Yes, it's an increase in the number of residential units that have been added to Tyson since the plan was adopted in 2010.
No, do the math. 11.7 jobs, it seems 104,000 jobs in Tyson, and the 2021 figure assumes a number of like 78,000 jobs. There's been a loss of 25,000 jobs. That's why that 5.7 is as low as it is. Otherwise, it would not be that low. Just
so the 104 that the comprehensive plan assumed was an assumption. So we went back and relooked at that number and decided a couple of years back that we were going to use the COG number, which I don't have the exact number, but I believe it's updated every 5 years. If I can pull it quickly. I think it's in the 80 something range.
Yeah, I have 79,000. If this chart is misleading, you shouldn't be comparing, the 2021 numbers to 2010. That's my only point. It's comparing it to 104,000 in 2010 is not really valid. Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure that it looks like you are aware of this. So, and I wasn't sure that you were. So that's it. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, it's Ray Baxter. This is my last comment. And it's to Tom. It's always the same kind of comment. I see the interchange of 123 and 7 kind of constantly being pushed off to the right. And I just want to make sure that we're going to have that interchange commensurate with the 8 lanes going on Route 7 and 123, because I know we have more than 80-second backups during the AM and PM hours now. And I can't imagine what it's going to be if we were to complete the Route 7 from the Beltway all the way out and 123 up to International. I just want to make sure that we continue to coordinate that effort with the completion of the those 2 roadways and the completion of the interchange.
Yes. So one of the reasons that we haven't been able to show you more about the Route 7 123 interchange is that part of that depends on what happens with the BRT, the bus rapid transit on Route 7. So the original alignment would have had bus rapid transit stay on Route 7, coming up from the West Falls Church Metro Station all the way to the Spring Hill Metrorail station. We're looking at 2 alternatives, and Robin mentioned the survey that's out there right now, one of which both of those alternatives would have BRT turn on International. One would go up to the Tysons Corner Station. The other would continue on up International and then make a left turn and go into Spring Hill the back way. So we're looking for feedback on those 3 options right now. Depending on which of those options is selected, it will have an impact on what we design for the interchange at Route 7 and 123. So we need to answer the BRT question first, and then we can get back to answering the Route 7 123 question. But it's definitely one that we're very well aware that we need to address, and we haven't forgotten, that's for sure.
Thank you. Wouldn't be a meeting if I hadn't brought that up.
True.
This is Mark Jettigan. I also have a question for Tom DeSaudin. Are you ready?
Go ahead, Mark.
So this is going back to Table 7B, the 123 improvement. Hold on here. Let me try that. The 123 modified intersection treatment study. So last year, you said that the R-cut was chosen, the Super Street R-cut option was chosen, and that and you had reached 30% design complete. So is that decision being reconsidered after, going 30% complete in design?
No. What we're doing right now is the design that was at 30% was inside the Beltway. So from the Beltway to the Dulles Toll Road connector. And what we've been working on is the portion of Route 123 outside the Beltway, from the Beltway to International. And so we're trying to bring that design up to the same 30%. But there has been no change in the design. And I think Christina had a slide on that earlier, from the Beltway to the Dulles Toll Road connector. Christina, can you bring that slide up, please? Do you have there was a graphic that you had. There we go. So Mark, that's essentially the graphic that shows the design, and you can see in the two little inset boxes what the design looks like for this segment. That has not changed, and we're working on similar concepts west of the Beltway.
Okay, and is there any chance of getting federal funds for this particular improvement?
Potentially, yes. And as you may know, the federal government is discussing infrastructure, potentially infrastructure bill. And so we are looking at potential projects for submission for that, for consideration.
All right, okay, thank you.
John, any other questions, comments? Christine, was that the last item on the agenda? Was the voting of the officers?
That is all I have.
Okay, hearing no more questions or anybody wanting to make any more comments, the meeting is adjourned.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.